at cgibusinesssolutions.com.
Bring your kitchen to life with Queen City Cabinetry, located at 87 Elm Street in the historic Sunbeam Mall in Manchester. Open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. They can be reached at 603-222-2007 or on the web at queencitycabinetrynh.com. Come see the possibilities. Queen City Cabinetry, another proud sponsor of WMNH.
Come on down to the Hop Knot at 1000 Elm Street, Manchester's premier craft beer and gourmet pretzel bar. Tell us more, Trudy.
We make our dough fresh every day. We make a variety of styles of pretzels and serve craft beer, cocktails, and a few bottles of wine. We do the traditional pretzel, and we have multiple flavors for that. We also do stuffed pretzels, pretzel sandwiches, 3 dessert pretzels, and pretzel knots.
The Hop Knot in the Brady Sullivan Plaza at 1000 Elm Street.
Clemento's Pizzeria, family friendly, awesome for a date night. Clemento's Pizzeria. For delivery, call 603-782-8450. Clemento's Pizzeria, the best pizza in town. 1875 South Willow Street in Manchester, New Hampshire. Best cocktails around. Come in as friends and leave as family.
You are listening to WMNHLP, Manchester's radio, broadcasting at 95.3 megahertz frequency modulation from the top of 1000 Elm Street. Our studios are located at 1045 Elm Street and licensed to Manchester Public Television Service in Manchester, New Hampshire, USA. Contact us by email at WMNH953@gmail.com or through our website at WMNHradio.org.
Someone I don't recognize. I shouldn't have done this, but anyway life is, and now I'm truly captivated by the view. So I'll be staying, God knows I'm on the plane, just a little bit insane. Whoa. These things, they fade, this life does change. Set this moment free, yeah. I don't wait until the rise and the sun shouldn't have stayed up late, but I guess I'm having fun. I'm not awake until the rise and the sun shouldn't have stayed up, shouldn't have stayed up. Oh, not awake until the rise and the sun shouldn't have stayed up late, but I guess I'm having fun. I'm not awake until the rise and the sun shouldn't have stayed up, shouldn't have stayed up. Another window, we did the time go, we could have died 3 times. Girl, we're lucky we're alive, take it all though, we got a beat to follow now, whoa. It was a good show, but what do I know? I'm just a singer in a band, hitting the notes I can, but I got the words all stuck in my head and I can't let it go. These things, they fade, this life does change. Set this moment free, yeah. I don't wait until the rise and the sun shouldn't have stayed up late, but I guess I'm having fun. I don't wait until the rise and the sun shouldn't have stayed up, shouldn't have stayed up. Oh, I don't wait until the rise and the sun shouldn't have stayed up late, but I guess I'm having fun. I don't wait until the rise and the sun shouldn't have stayed up, shouldn't have stayed up. Stayed in the sun. You shouldn't have stayed up late, but I guess I'm having fun. I lie awake until the rise in the sun. You shouldn't have stayed up. You shouldn't have stayed up. I lie awake until the rise in the sun. You shouldn't have stayed up late, but I guess I'm having fun. I lie awake until the rise in the sun. You shouldn't have stayed up.
Then they want to have our jet fighters. Our jet fighters are the best way to go. They can make a turn on the size of a dime. Boom, boom. They want to use fuel that's a little bit better for the environment. So that as we're attacking some country, trying to devastate some country because they've been bad to us, we go in, we're dropping bombs all over the place, but at least we're not leaving any environmental footprint. These people are crazy because they came to see me. Sir, we have a new fighter jet. We think it's environmentally friendly. I said, who cares if it's you're dropping bombs all over the place? You're shooting everybody. No, it's fun.
The commander to the supreme leader, Matsu coming down.
Welcome, everybody. Here we go. It is that time again. Happy Wednesday. It is Matt Connarton Unleashed, and we are live from the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in glorious downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. Also on Comcast 97 if you're in Manchester. And hello to all of our online listeners across the nation and around the globe. You can go to my website, mattconnerton.com, for all of your live streaming options, social media links, contact info, show archives, etc., etc. Today is... It is a Wednesday, October 18, 2023. Jenny is going to be calling in a moment to talk. Oh, and Erich is on the Skype there. Erich Pilcher, my favorite conservative. Welcome, sir.
Good afternoon, Matt.
Good afternoon to you. I was just saying, too, Jenny's going to be calling in just for a few minutes to talk about the hearing that happened today. And of course, you and I will do our usual thing after that as well. But welcome. How are you feeling?
RSV really isn't that bad.
Yes, you have RSV, which is, what does that stand for? Respiratory something, viral something?
Yeah, respiratory something virus.
Ah, yes. Well, at least you don't have the gonorrhea flu. That would be even worse.
Yeah, I mean, they do the same test. When you test for COVID, you test for RSV as well.
Yeah.
The only drawback is they said the symptoms can last for like 2 to 3 weeks.
Oh, wow. That's a long haul. I mean, the average cold only lasts 7 to 10 days. 2 to 3 weeks. That sucks.
Yeah, and they can't give you an antibiotic because it's a virus.
Right.
So you just
go ahead.
Kind of got to deal with it.
Let's see. I'm just trying to. Oh, here we go.
But yeah, it's definitely it's just like really bad cold.
Yeah,
is the best way to put it. It isn't anywhere close to COVID, at least in my experience.
Well, that's good at least. Jenny is on the line with us. Speaking of health issues and such. Hello.
Whoops.
Oh, Jenny, can you hear me?
Sorry. That was my fault with my phone.
Oh,
yeah, actually, today was actually a really cool day in that on Monday, I told you guys about having a meeting with Senator Hassan's, one of our senior aides, and our own Miriam actually shared information about what happened with one of her family members and how they were almost harmed by one of these Medicare disadvantage or so-called advantage plans. And Senator Hassan was really actually paying very good attention and utilized that information today in the hearing. She spoke about Miriam and what had happened in her family's situation, and that the Senate needs to act and stop these predatory calls and predatory advertisements from happening, especially with people in our society who are vulnerable. Mm-hmm. You know, these insurance companies prey on them and promise things that don't exist or do false advertising or push them into signing up for one of these plans. And all too often, once you're on one, unless you're in just a handful of states, you can't get off of it. Right. You'll be haunted by pre-existing conditions. So it was really amazing. And Senator Hassan also talked about another family up in the northern part of New Hampshire who had also been harmed by one of these MA plans. And it was really great to see activism producing fruit, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
we do what we do. We talk about things. We try to raise attention, but it's rare that you actually get to see some good fruit come of it, to see what you've been trying. You know, and there were a lot of people yesterday that were reaching out to people and trying to get them to talk to their senators that sit on the Finance Committee for this hearing. And incidentally, now that I've just said that, the committee is open to receive comments. You can actually write to them, and they'll definitely read it, and it does go into the record regarding Medicare Advantage plans and advertisements or sales tactics that are predatory or, promise the world but don't deliver. Like, hey, free glasses, but it's not really free glasses. That's not exactly how it works.
Yeah.
Unless you want beginner glasses for a child, because that's what they cover for lenses, right? That's not what an adult needs. You can't have, a hair's breadth of reading in beginner progressives. I'm sorry. It's ridiculous. But they sell you on it, right? Oh, you'll get free glasses if you choose our plan. But they don't tell you is that once you get off of traditional Medicare, you're done. You're stuck, because any pre-existing condition is going to get used against you with the gap plans. That's the thing. So you can go back to traditional, but you're going to have that 20% you have to pay unless you get a gap plan. But that's the one place in our healthcare that you can still use a pre-existing condition against somebody.
Right.
So hopefully we're going to make some headway on this now. And it was a nose under the camel's tent, if you will, because it was a chance to finally open the door to some hearings and talking about what these plans are doing, and hopefully get to talking about how they're ripping off the American public and they're sucking in Medicare dollars that they pocket as profit.
Yep. Exactly.
So,
okay.
A huge shout out to our very own Miriam. She's amazing, and she stepped up and she, used her rights as a citizen. She spoke up, and it made it all the way to the Senate in D.C., and now it's actually making a difference. So I'm super proud of you, Miriam. If you're listening, thank you.
Absolutely. Well done, Miriam. And is the video up? Can people go and watch this online?
You can. It is up. I have a link that I just got recently that actually goes to, trying to see whose website it goes to. Oh, okay. Yes, actually, I'll drop it into the chat room.
Okay.
And, contact me if you want it. So this is a link that actually takes you right to the governmental website of the Finance Committee, so you can actually see the video right from there. And I think you got to get, a bit over an hour in there to when Senator Hassan starts speaking and actually talks about some New Hampshire families and, like I said, our own Miriam, and what concerns her and what she wants the committee to look like, to look at in order to try and rein this in. I mean, to put it bluntly, CMS has got plenty of laws on the books about what these plans are supposed to do or not do, and they're certainly not supposed to display themselves as a Medicare, but they do.
Right.
They try to sell you as if this is a form of Medicare, and it absolutely is not.
Right.
So, this is huge that this has finally happened. And, I encourage you, they're accepting comments until November 8th. If you have any trouble wanting to do that, feel free to reach out to me. Be happy to help you. It's an opportunity to where your voice gets heard on the Hill and hopefully works towards decreasing the risks out there and decreasing the harm. I mean, ultimately, I want to get rid of Medicare Advantage altogether, but in this moment, if we can at least stop them from sucking people in and lying to them or giving them false advertisement or false hope, then we're at least stopping the harm in that way.
Yep, exactly. All right, well, very good. Well done, and well done to Miriam as well, if she's listening, or if she hears this later.
Well done to both of you, Jenny, you and Miriam. Awesome work.
Thank you.
All right.
I will let you guys have by the way, hi to my favorite conservative. I didn't give you a proper hello.
Jen. What you're doing is far bigger than anything I would have to talk about today. Believe me.
Oh, that's nice.
No, stop that. We can all play a role. Everybody's capable of doing the same. that I'm going
If I-
to be like other people, and I'm going to hang up now and be a listener.
All right, Jenny. Thank you. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Have a good day. And
Yeah, yeah, go ahead, Eric.
if I can back on what she was saying, I've been pretty open about this. I'm a type 2 diabetic.
Yes.
And my workplace advertises on our company bulletin boards. You can get free CGMs with our insurance.
What's a CGM?
Continual glucose monitor.
Okay.
But the CGM is really, it's an outdated version. It's the Libre 1, and they make Libre 3 now. Like, the app for the Libre 1 won't even work on my phone.
Oh, really? That's not good.
So I have state insurance as a secondary to cover what my work insurance doesn't.
Oh, okay. I'm almost surprised they even have that in Iowa.
Yes, we do allow people. It's very stringent, and you literally every 4 months you have to turn in check stubs with your medication.
Every 4 months they make you do that? Wow.
Every 4 months I have to submit my check stubs.
Oh my God, what a pain. But at least they have it.
I have to print them off, mail them in, and I do it by priority mail just so I can get tracking to ensure they get it.
Smart. Every 4 months, and you have to mail them in, so it's not something you can send them electronically?
No, it has to be mailed in, cannot be scanned in.
God forbid government function in the present day.
Yeah. It's like, okay, all right. And then, like, one time, then they call you for a phone interview.
Really? Every time? Every 4 months?
Yup. You have to go through the phone interview, and they're like, well, don't know why you're sending it. Why you send it priority mail. And it's like, well, because knowing you guys, you would tell me that I didn't send it in. And then I go to my pharmacy, and I'm told I owe money.
Right.
And it's like, and they're like, well, we understand that, but it does put great strain on our mailroom to have to sign for priority mail. And it's like, well, considering that it's my tax dollars that employ the mailroom.
Wait, hold on. So somebody actually said that to you? It puts great strain on our mailroom? So that's astonishing. Yep. Wow. Did they preface that with, well, we are government employees no, I shouldn't say that, but I mean,
it's completely ridiculous.
Oh my God. Wow. Actually, you shouldn't have to sign for priority mail unless you request a signature. What if you did it without the signature requirement, but just sent it priority so you still get the tracking?
I don't do it with the signature requirement. I think because it's going directly to a state building. Yeah. Someone signed for it to ensure there's nothing in it that can harm anyone.
Oh, okay.
If I had to guess.
Yeah. Well, whoever asked to sign for it's probably an incredible strain on their psyche, and it ruins their day, apparently.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Tough luck.
No, I don't blame you at all.
Let me make $52,000 a year signing for mail at a state office.
That's right. Now, Eric, before we go any further, as you, I'm sure you remember last year, we had Chat GPT. I asked Chat GPT to prepare a script to introduce you with. What's that?
You said last year, Matt.
Oh, did I last week? Did I say last year?
Yes.
It was, well, you know, time is relative. Well, it's really not, but no, last week, I'm sorry. Yes. Last year, I don't think we had ChatGPT. Last week, we asked ChatGPT to prepare a script that I could read as an official introduction for you, make it a little bit more official. But I was thinking about it. I wasn't that happy with the one last week because I think it left out some pertinent details. So I want to do that again, but I want to add in a couple of things here. So I've got ChatGPT open on this computer. So I've already started the prompt. That's what you call it, of course. You call it a prompt. Write a script to introduce the my favorite conservative segment with Erich Pilcher on the, I'm like an intermediate typer. I'm not super fast, but not super slow.
I'm hunting back, Matt, so you're a step above.
On the Matt Connarton Unleashed radio show. Now, here's the important thing. I think we should include some pertinent details about you that should go into the introduction. So I was also going to add to the prompt, include, let's see, that you endorsed Chris Christie. Should we include that?
Let's not talk about past mistakes.
I'll have to follow up with you on that. I'm curious why you say that. Okay, how about include that his favorite wrestler is Bret the Hitman Hart. What else? What else should we make sure? Oh, and of course, that you do the classic film reviews.
Yes, the year anniversary of that at the end of this month.
Yes. Classic film reviews. Let's see, lead guitarist in Jerry and the Scumbags. Yes, we have to include that. And how about this? How about if we say, and regrets endorsing Chris Christie? How's that sound?
No, I don't regret it. It's just at the last Republican debate, he said something, and I literally did the double face palm, like both hands, because it was just so cringe.
I know exactly what it is, but we'll talk about it. But I'm pretty sure I know what it is. We may have even talked about it before. I'm not sure, but okay. So, and may or may not regret endorsing Chris Christie. How's that?
Yes, that's fine. I'm surprised that you haven't brought it up, but yeah, I'm totally open to talking about it because I actually missed that debate, and Dirk Don sent me the video, and he's like, "It's your guy," and I'm like, "Oh, he said something good," and I clicked it and I watched it, and I'm just like, This is how a candidacy ends.
All right. Well, let's see what we. I'm sorry. Yes, go ahead. Well,
go ahead with the ChatGPT. I'm interested.
All right. So I've clicked generate. We'll see what it comes up with, but we're going to do this right. I have another surprise. Got a little music for you. A little for the background here. You're going to like this. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another exciting episode of the Matt Connarton Unleashed radio show. We've got a fantastic segment lined up for you today, and it's a fan favorite, my favorite conservative. Now, you know me. I love to bring you a diverse range of opinions and personalities, and today's guest is no exception. Please give a warm welcome to the one and only Erich Pilcher. Erich, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Now, before we dive into the political chatter, I hear you're a man of many talents and interests. First off, tell us about your love for professional wrestling. I've heard you're a big fan of Bret the Hitman Hart. And then you're supposed to, it wrote me an actual script, not an introduction. So then you're supposed to say a bunch of stuff. And then I say, indeed we do. In addition to being a wrestling aficionado, I understand you're quite the movie buff. you do classic film reviews. Fantastic. Now here's something that might surprise some of our listeners. You're not just a commentator, you're a musician too. You're the lead guitarist in a band called Jerry and the Scumbags. That's pretty cool, Erich. Finally, before we delve into the political discussion, I have to ask, you've been known to have some mixed feelings about your past endorsement of Chris Christie. Well, there you have it, folks. A man of many talents and perspectives. Erich Pilcher, it's always a pleasure to have you on the show, and I can't wait to hear what you have to say during My Favorite Conservative today. Stay tuned, folks, because My Favorite Conservative with Erich Pilcher is coming up next. There we go. How do you feel about that one?
I like it, especially since we included something about Bret the Hitman Hart, who was probably my first hero.
Oh, yes, yes. He's my number 2, as you know, as we've discussed before. My number 1 is Macho Man Randy Savage, but Bret's a close number 2 for me. But now, speaking of heroes, and I don't mean the person you endorsed. I mean the person he referred to, or the cartoon character rather. I assume you're referring to Chris Christie's Donald Duck moment.
Oh man! Oh why?
It was extremely cringe. Yeah, I did talk about that on the show, but I guess I didn't think to mention it when we had you on after the debate to talk about that.
I don't know what's worse. That he said it, or that smug grin that he had after he said it.
Yeah, it was very cringe. Very, very cringe.
I was sitting there and I'm like, now I know how Howard Dean supporters felt back in 2007.
Yeah. Well, here, let's if I can find. Oh, here we go. Yeah, for people who either don't know or just don't remember, I'll play the clip of it. And you're right, his facial expression at the end is particularly cringe. Listeners can't see that, of course, but you know they can always go and look it up online if they haven't seen it. But he has a look on his face like, ooh, I really killed with that one. Yeah, this is
what it reminded me of, Matt.
I bet
disgusting guy.
Oh,
the disgusting guy in the office who you're in the elevator with that passes gas and wants to laugh that he did it, but gives just a little grin.
Right. Yeah, that's a good analogy. It reminded me of the time many years ago when Roman Reigns, because it was scripted for him, had to say "suffering succotash" on in a promo. That was a Vince McMahon idea, apparently. But yeah, that was very bad. Now let's play this for anyone who doesn't know or doesn't remember, wants a little refresher. This is Chris Christie at his most cringe.
Progressive prosecutors were elected by their constituents, and they can't be fired by a president. So what would you do to end the revolving door of criminality?
Well, look, Dana, I'm the only one on this stage who's done it. For 7 years, I ran the 5th largest office in this country at the U.S. Attorney's Office in New Jersey, and we set records for the number of prosecutions that we brought that still have not been broken. And the reason was that we went after the crime that was affecting people's lives. And as president, I will appoint an attorney general and instruct that attorney general that you are to put all the resources that are necessary to bring our cities back under control. The fact is, they will be stretched. There's no doubt about that, but that's what they take the job for, because they love the idea of enforcing the law. We've got to bring law and order back to this country, and not just in our cities.
Sorry, everybody, for the wind up. This is a longer version of the clip. I didn't realize that, but we're almost to the money shot.
And we need it in Washington, D.C. also. And Donald Trump should be here to answer for that, but he's not. And I want to look at that camera right now and tell you, Donald, I know you're watching. You can't help yourself. I know you're watching, okay? And you're not here tonight, not because of polls and not because of your indictments. You're not here tonight because you're afraid of being on this stage and defending your record. You're ducking these things. And let me tell you what's going to happen. You keep doing that, no one up here is going to call you Donald Trump anymore. We're going to call you Donald Duck.
Hey, Sean.
Ugh, so bad. Actually, everything was good up until that last part.
Yes, and you know, there was like a moment of fear I had
Yeah.
When he was talking, and then he's like, anytime a politician says, I'm going to look right at that camera.
Oh, yeah,
no
yeah.
good is coming out of this.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You know something cringe is coming.
Yeah. Because they make it bigger than what it actually is.
Right.
And it's like, oh, no, do not do this. Look at your feet. Look at Nikki Haley. Look at the flag. Look at the wall. Look somewhere else. But no. And then you called him Donald Duck.
You know what it also reminded me of a little bit? So this is, I think I have the right clip here. I didn't pre-listen to this. This is from a 2016 debate. I don't know if you've heard this, Eric, or if you remember this, or if the listeners will. But let me just play this. This one's definitely short, I promise. And then I'll tell you what I find cringe about it.
We're going to kick your rear end out of the White House come this fall.
Oh, that was very short. And then it went to something else. Were you able to hear that, Eric?
Yeah, I vaguely remember that. I remember
the audio on that wasn't very good. I'm sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but if you're like, just say the other word. Like, you're on cable TV. Like, kick your rear end. You sound like my grandfather if he's had some Valium and then he gets mad at me.
Oh, that's not the thing that I found very cringe about it. And other people pointed this out too at the time. What I found cringe about it is, so he says he's doing that thing you were complaining about where a politician says, I'm going to speak directly into the camera. So he does that, and then he says he's talking to Barack Obama, and he says, come this November, we're going to kick your rear end out of the White House. And what was cringe about that was, dude, he's in his second term. He's leaving no matter what. You don't have to kick him out. He's going to be leaving. You're talking about him like he's an active candidate. This is it for him. And that's what was so cringe about it. And what made it even more cringe was knowing that the only reason he was even going out of his way to say something like that was because Republicans were still mad at him for actually, being friendly to Obama when Obama went and visited after Hurricane Sandy, went and visited New Jersey, and they shook hands and, the quote unquote hug and all of that. So that was to make up for that. But it was just like, dude, you don't have to kick him out of the White House. He's leaving on his own accord. He understands when the next person is sworn in, he has to go. So I always found that very cringe.
Yeah, that didn't even cross my mind, but that's very true. It's like evicting someone when they've already moved out.
Right. Exactly.
I mean, there's someone we know that knows a lot about evictions.
Yes.
So maybe they can chime in.
Interesting thing about that person too, though, it's never his fault. Anyway, well, we should, yeah, go ahead.
When someone evicted, it's their fault.
Right, yeah.
Like, it's like a judge doesn't allow an eviction order to be placed if you are innocent.
Well, I don't know if that's always true. But I mean, we've had a tenants' rights activist here on the show who coincidentally I happened to run into as I was on my way in today because she works in this building, and she's told some horror stories. But I do think in terms of the individual who shall remain nameless that you and I are referencing specifically, I think it's probably a pretty safe assumption to assume that it's usually his fault. It's always his fault, I'm sure. Yeah. I think that's pretty safe.
I am sure there are. You're right. There are horror stories, self-help evictions, and all of that. But yeah, to that individual, yeah, no sympathy. 100% your fault.
Yep. We have a call. We'll see who's on the line here. Hi, welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
Deep the Rot Runs.
Deep the Rot Runs. Can I just...
Yeah, in the federal... in the imperial political system.
I was going to respond to that with the red fox flies at midnight.
How about Ghost Rider? The pattern is full.
Ooh, that's a good one. Dave Ridley has joined us on the phone. Hello, Dave.
Hello.
Now we have of course our friend Erich Pilcher from Iowa on the phone. Are you calling to try to get Iowa to join NH Exit and would you be open to something like that where Iowa and New Hampshire secede from the Union together and we become, even though we're geographically separated, we could somehow, the UK, there's parts of the UK all over the world. I guess we could do it too, right? We could have some sort of a partnership outside of the United States. Are you calling to propose something like that? Because I think it's a great idea, and I just thought of it.
Let me pump the brakes on that now.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Eric.
75% of Iowa's citizens can't spell secede. So, yeah, that ain't going to work.
Well, that might not be a disqualifier. What do you think, Dave?
If at first you don't secede, or I favor the succession of the states from the Union.
Texas keeps saying they're going to secede, and I think it's probably a bit higher in Texas than it is in Iowa of those that can't spell it. So, fair point.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, both New Hampshire and Iowa do have is starting to have a shared interest in independence, because we've just been, essentially, New Hampshire has already been partially kicked out of the Union anyway, in the sense that the Democrats are no longer allowing their official primary here, basically. And I think that, haven't they targeted Iowa too, because it's too white?
Yeah. What's up with that Eric? Is that true?
I have heard that for longer than it's been an issue, that Iowa is too white, and I will bash Iowa if it's warranted. Believe me, I will.
Yes.
But this is totally unwarranted. We are pretty diverse, all things considered. America's oldest mosque is here in Cedar Rapids, Mother Mosque.
I didn't know that. Huh.
Yeah. We have the University of Iowa. It's a very diverse campus. Iowa State University, very diverse campus. Drake University, another diverse campus. We have a lot of diversity. So the Iowa is so white thing, I don't know where it came from. I don't know who's getting it out there, but it is completely and utterly ridiculous.
Yeah, and people...
reason...
Yeah, no, go ahead, Dave.
The reason I bring it up is just because they targeted our primary. It seems like, aren't they targeting the caucus too, or am I getting ahead of myself? The Democrat Party.
I did hear something about that. I know that in the case of New Hampshire, it seems, I think it's really just coming from Biden, because he wants South Carolina to go first, because as I've always said on the show, I'm sure both of you guys have heard me say it more than once, Joe Biden owes his entire presidency to South Carolina and to Congressman James Clyburn of South Carolina, because he was DOA when he got there. He came in like 4th or 5th in New Hampshire. He did horribly in Iowa. Had he not won South Carolina on Clyburn's endorsement, he would not be president today. So he seems to really favor South Carolina and couldn't care less about New Hampshire, it would seem.
Yeah, and I'm, for the uninitiated, I'm talking about the Iowa caucus. So the first two things that happen in the presidential race that really have a big effect are the New Hampshire primary and then the Iowa caucus. So it actually may not be in that order. It may be the Iowa caucus first, but the Iowa caucus is actually even more important. It's just, if they're trying to take us out of their, traditional political system, then why should we be part of their political system? It'd be wonderful to have Iowa join New Hampshire in an independence movement of some kind.
So you are open to that, Dave?
Yeah, there's this organization called Americans United for Peaceable Separation or something like that. And it's interesting how fast people in independence movements become friends and united with each other regardless of their other differences. You know, because I consider Daniel Miller definitely to be not just an ally but a friend. The guy who runs the Texas nationalist movement, and he and I do not agree about politics actually all that much.
Yeah.
But just because we're united on that one issue, it makes us feel. I feel very close to the guy. He's probably the most interesting politician in America.
I've heard the name Daniel Miller.
Yeah,
I feel like I've heard
Texas
of him.
Nationalist movement.
Okay.
He looks like Texas. He really, if he wasn't leading the Texas nationalist movement, he would have a career in the stand-up comedy. So the federal government has an approval rating somewhere between that of syphilis and gonorrhea, and they're telling us we're supposed to be ruled by them. It's like eating a bowl of bowels.
Ew, he's vulgar. By the way, we have an actual Texan in the chat room. By the way, my old friend from high school, Mark Kastick, who moved down to Texas some years ago and speaks highly of the state. So you want to do like a tri-state sort of secession with New Hampshire, Iowa, and Texas? Is that where we're going with this? Is that the idea?
Well, it would be nice to have a 50-state, an independent movement of 50 states, right? I think we'd all get all the states. I think we just get along better without using the federal government against each other.
Well, now you're getting. I mean, that sounds a little ambitious, Dave. I mean, baby steps. I mean, we gotta let's do the 3 first, and then we'll figure out the other 47. I mean, come on. I mean, we could probably get Alaska in there. I know Sarah Palin's husband was a big secessionist there, so maybe we can have a quad. And then, but if we have 4 states, so if we have 4 states all seceded together, would those 4 states be a union of our own? And if so, which state would be in charge of our nuclear weapons? Because the only way, and Dave, we've talked about this, the only way I'll go along with this whole plan is if we can have some nukes. Just put me in charge of them. It'll be fine. There's nothing to worry about. I'll be very careful. But, you know, if I see Maine or, you know, New Jersey or somebody coming to invade, you know, I'm going to fire one of those off, of course, to protect us. All of us.
Well, you know, historically, what happened best with nuclear weapons, I think the second biggest reduction in nuclear weapons ever was after the Soviets collapsed, and unilaterally reduced the nuclear arsenal. That resulted in the Americans didn't take advantage of it. The Americans reduced their nuclear arsenal by a massive, by 2/3 eventually. So when the Soviets backed down, that's when the Americans started getting a little bit more benign. So that's the thing you do with nuclear weapons. You give them up, you back down, you walk away. You do what South Africa did when they got rid of their nuclear program. You just walk away from those things.
Well, I'd like to have at least one. I mean, we could, you know, just one ICBM just in case. We'll let Erich watch over it in Iowa. How's that sound, Erich? We'll have I mean, you must have silos already in Iowa. I assume you have silos.
We do have silos, but here is my thinking. I'm the type of guy that there's a little bit of me that wants to watch the world burn. So I will turn the honor you have given me to watch the nuclear weapons. I'm going to give that honor to Texas.
Oh, okay. Now, how would that work logistically? Would you let Texas actually have the missile itself? Or are you saying we'll put the missile in a silo in Iowa, but whoever is in charge of Texas can have the launch codes?
The whole shebang.
Ooh.
Missiles, launch codes, all going to Texas.
Okay. All right. Does that sound fair to you, Dave?
Well, I mean, that's kind of what happened after the Russians collapsed, or after the Soviets collapsed. They just everybody handed their nuclear weapons over to the Russians, basically. And that actually did not work out all that badly.
Yeah.
You know, the Russians are a very imperfect government, very imperfect system, a bad president, maybe not quite evil, but bad. And, you know, and yet it has kind of worked out just because having it in fewer hands is better. So
yes,
I would certainly trust Texas with nuclear weapons a lot more than I would trust Russia.
I agree with you there.
And a lot more than I would trust Biden and his diapers.
Well, as a great man once said, don't mess with Texas. And I'm referring to the song.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, just to clarify, I'm referring to the song, not the person who actually said it when I say great man. I'm sorry. What's that, Eric?
Who mess with our union?
Who would what?
If we had Texas in charge of the nuclear weapons with the launch codes, this is a state that basically has a turnstile for the death penalty. Who is gonna mess with us? You blink at this union wrong, nukes are coming your way.
Or a nuke, because I think Dave will only let us have one. And I'm not sure he's even going to let us have that one. He sounds a little unsure about that. You sound a little unsure about that, Dave.
I think it would be better for all the American states and the federal government to probably walk away from their nukes. But
see,
I could be wrong.
That's no fun.
Well. But the other thing with independence, you were talking about having 3 states all declare independence or something like that. The thing is, historically, what happens is the republics or the states that declare independence first are usually the safest. So, for instance, in Yugoslavia, the Slovenians went first, and they were very successful with very little violence. And you saw what happened to the republics that declared independence later on, like Bosnia.
Yeah.
And then also in Russia, the Estonians, I think, were first, and they did really well. The Chechens were last, and they ended up having a war, 2 wars.
Yep.
So it's you want to be the first one out. It's sort of the same thing with the Arab Spring, where I guess it was Tanzania was the first country to.
Was it?
Right? Was it Tanzania? Anyway, the first country to rise up in the Arab Spring did very well and replaced their government peacefully with no bad results, really.
Right.
But all the other countries have had problems. Egypt didn't do that well, and of course, we know what happened to Syria. So you want to be first with this stuff. You don't want to be the last one out the exit.
Right. So New Hampshire first is what you're saying.
If we could be the first one out the exit, we'll be the safest, right?
New Hampshire
and
first.
Right now, we're kind of number 2. We're like Texas is ahead of us, and we're doing the best we can to catch up with them, but we're not as far along as we should be.
Does California fit in any of this? The only reason I ask is California has, the 7th largest economy in the world. They could easily secede and be their own country. And maybe we could ride their coattails, or would that wouldn't exactly be us being first, I suppose?
It would be better if they rode ours, but they are doing pretty well there. I guess they're the third. They're the third furthest along. They're doing the third best, and they have a pretty strong independence movement called Cal Exit or Yes California.
Yeah, there was somebody years ago who wanted to split, some billionaire who he was either running for office or he was thinking about it. Or I don't remember his name, but he had a plan to he actually wanted to not necessarily secede from the union, but he wanted to take California and split it into 5 separate states, which was an interesting proposal, or maybe 6 or 7 different states. It was pretty interesting. Anyway,
yeah, that's Tim Draper, and that failed. But Russell Canning always likes to say you can split any state all you want, and that won't make very much difference at all. But if you split a state off from the union, you have effectively eliminated 2/3 of the government that's going on in your state, and that makes a big difference.
All right, Dave. Well, anything else? Anything you'd like to add, or?
Well, I was going to tell you an exciting story about Dean Kamen, the New Hampshire billionaire, and his successful secession attempt. But I think I'll call about that some other time since I've taken up so many minutes.
We'll leave that for another day. All right, that sounds good. Anything you'd like to plug? You want to plug NH Exit?
NHExit.us.
All right, Dave. We appreciate the call, my friend.
Thanks, guys.
All right, you got it. Bye-bye. All right, that was Dave Ridley from the Ridley Report and NH Exit. Is there a strong secessionist movement in Iowa, Eric? I never hear about it, but
No.
What's that?
No, not at all, Matt. Like,
not at all.
We're pretty lazy.
We do have another. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
The speed takes a lot of effort.
Yeah.
And we ain't about that life. Like, no.
All right. Well, I guess we'll leave you out of our new separate country then. But we do have.
Hold on. If New Hampshire and Texas and Alaska want to do the heavy work, we'll jump on it. We'll jump on at the end.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, hey, work smarter, not harder. We do have a call.
Yeah.
Hi. Welcome to Matt Connarton Unleashed. Who's this?
It's your buddy down in Texas, Matt. How's it going?
Oh, Mark, how are you? You sound more.
I'm doing good, man.
I haven't heard from you in a while. You sound even more Texan than ever.
Yes, sir. I'm a proud member of Texas for about a year now.
You've been what?
A proud member of Texas.
A proud member of Texas. Yes.
No, Texas, like exit with the T.
Oh, Texit. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's not a very good phone connection. So that's the name of the organization, Texit.
Yeah, there's a Texit movement that started a while back.
Oh, yeah, you sound a little better now. Whatever changed, you sound better.
Yeah.
So you're a part of that?
Yeah, I joined the email list or whatever. There's a group trying to secede Texas as a state. As you know, we're once its own country as well with its own currency.
Interesting. Do you think it'll ever happen, or is it just kind of a? Because I think all the secession stuff is. Respectfully, I don't think anybody's going to ever actually successfully secede. But what do you think?
No, I agree with you 100%. I think it's like herding cats.
But if it were to happen,
I mean, it's a good idea overall, but you'll never get everyone to agree on anything.
Right. Now, if you were to successfully do it, though, would you be willing to take Iowa? Because Erich would like to tag along, if possible, with Iowa, but doesn't want to actually do the hard stuff.
Well, the wife went to Iowa. She's a Hawkeye, so yeah, we'd have to take that because her mom and dad still live there.
Oh.
And we might as well take Minnesota because that's where her brother lives. So we'll take a straight shot up to Canada.
What's that, Erich?
Minnesota's a deal breaker. We don't get along with Minnesota.
Oh, why is that?
Which part? The southern part where the Muslims are, or the northern part where the farmers are?
Minnesota in general, they're up there with Nebraska. It just doesn't work. Like, I don't understand, like, whenever my family is originally from Albert Lea, Minnesota, whenever we go to Albert Lea, they always scoff at us when they hear, "Oh, you're from Iowa." And it's like, you're in Albert Lea, Minnesota. You don't even have a super Walmart. You have just a Walmart. Like,
peasants.
Pretty sure we're a step above you.
That's one way to measure it, I suppose. I thought maybe it was some sports rivalry type of thing.
It is. Like, Nebraska football and Iowa football have a big rivalry. Iowa and Minnesota. In Iowa and Wisconsin, which Iowa and Minnesota play for a trophy that's a pig. It's a literal pig.
Oh, well, I've heard they make great pets.
You talking about the Heartland Trophy that Iowa just won last week?
No, the Floyd of Rossdale is the one. And yes, the Heartland Trophy is also a pig, which it's ridiculous.
The reason is obviously is they're big exporters of pork products.
Right. I just think, like, I'm a big college football fan. If you're going to play for a trophy, like, have it be something more than a pig. Like, there's a saying,
too close to being a golden calf, essentially.
You could put makeup on a pig, but it's still a pig. Like,
Sure.
Notre Dame and USC play for the jeweled shillelagh. Like, that's
But who doesn't like the crisp smell of some frying bacon?
Well,
if it came with fried
I know you're with me on that.
I'd be for it.
Well, but is it a live pig?
No, it's just it's just a pewter pig, Matt. A pewter pig mounted on a piece of wood.
Oh, I thought maybe it was like at a state fair where they present the pig that won the blue ribbon or something, and you get to take the pig home and you can make it a pet or you can eat it or whatever you're going to do.
Are you just reciting the plot line for Charlotte's Web?
I might have. I did read that when I was a kid. I don't remember much of it. Melanie in the chat room says, "Why are you putting makeup on a pig, weirdo?"
Melanie's been coming at me an awful lot lately.
Yeah, I think she thinks you're a weirdo because of the makeup on the pig.
Mean, I've been reviewing horror films for almost 2 months now. I thought that would make her happy with me.
Yes. Well, I'm sure it does. I'm sure it does on some level, but she still has concerns. How are things in Texas, Mark? Things good there? You doing well?
Yeah, we finally got fall. It's down to 82 degrees.
I'm jealous.
But we just put in our fall garden, so we got Brussels sprouts, cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, and butternut squash.
Excellent. You know, we have a Texan on the show sometimes. Texas Mike joins us. He's a former AWA tag team champion with Blackjack Mulligan. He's retired, of course. Yeah. Texas Mike.
Yeah, I think I've heard him on the show and seen him in studio.
Yeah. He wears a big belt buckle and spurs and everything. It's great.
Right.
That's why we're so popular in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. It's all because of him.
Right on.
Well, Mark,
I was just up in Dallas actually about a month ago for a movie premiere. A friend of mine wrote a movie.
Really?
And it's an indie film. It's called The Jones Plantation.
Oh wow! And so what is this? So that's where it was premiering?
Yeah, they had a premiere up there, and it's only about 3.5 hours from here. So we drove up to meet them.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, it was nice. It was one of those people that I've met online that never met in person before. So it was a good opportunity after 13 years actually meeting them in person.
Oh wow! So is it a film that's just got a limited release for now, but it could expand over time?
Yeah, essentially, it's an indie film. They did the whole thing for about $250,000, which is usually about the food bill on a regular production.
Yeah, no kidding.
Hey, I was about to say that's like the catering bill.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. In fact, I'll put the trailer. It's on YouTube. I'll put the trailer in the link for today's show if anyone wants to check it out.
Yeah,
cool. It's available for purchase for $10.
Okay.
You'll own it forever.
Okay. Yeah. Geez, maybe we can interview him on the show. Who knows? We have that would be interesting. All right, but yeah. I'll check that out.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you post that link, I'll check it out. Definitely.
Okay. Yeah, right on.
All right, Mark.
All right. Well, just checking in from FEMA Region 6, and thought I'd show.
All right. Well, hey, we appreciate the call. It's good to hear from you. Good to hear from you, old friend.
You too, brother.
All right, Mark. Take care. Bye-bye. All right. That was, I went to high school with Mark. But he didn't sound like that when we were in high school, obviously. He really picked up that Texas accent. Although Texans probably think he still sounds like somebody from out of state. So who knows? But
yes, I'm sorry. I have a guest that's invading my recording space right now.
Oh, is it your dog?
Yes, he's trying to be on air.
Oh, okay. Let's say hello to everybody in the Facebook live chat. We can go a little long on the segment. That's fine because I do have I have a couple specific things I want to make sure we get to. It's been a busy show, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
But in the chat room, Jenny is in there. She loved that opening song. By the way, one of the songs I played. Well, I did play the radio edit of Unicycle, of course, by Jerry and the Scumbags. But I also played something from Best Not Broken. Our musical guest yesterday on the show, and such a great band and a great song. Jenny was commenting on that in the chat room. Our friend Jay Fed from the great state of Vermont joins us. Jenny said, shalom, peeps. Eric, I see you're in there, of course. DJ Steve from Retro Spectrum Radio, who I get to hang out with every Friday night from 8 to 11 p.m. here at WMNH. He says, good afternoon, everyone. Killer opening. Thank you. B. Pinard joins us in the chat room. Jenny was making a comment. Please share the show in New Hampshire and Manchester groups on Facebook. Share to wherever you would like. Matt and I are unable to share our show anymore. Facebook made us spam and put us both on warning. Yeah, Facebook is being really difficult about, like, I share the show out to my own Facebook page and I get a warning that I'm spamming, and it's like, but it's my show. Melanie, we mentioned, is in there. Also, Hans Smith from the band Sepsis says, hey, Metal Matt, hello to you. Let's see. Carol Zaworowitz is in the chat room. Hello, Carol. Rhonda Favero from the great state of California joins us. Isaac Banks, of course, from Greensboro, North Carolina, in the Facebook live chat. Scott Robinson has a question. He says, why doesn't Dave Ridley just move away? Well, I think, Dave, for our lack of autonomy here in New Hampshire, he still loves the state. And but he just wants us to be our own country. That's all. Jay Bello is in the chat room, says, love the show and thank you for all you do. Thank you, Jay. Jay, of course, another very talented musician, and he's been on the show with his band Chasing the Devil. I still wear that shirt with great pride. Let's see. I just want to make sure we don't miss anybody in here. Scott Robinson said, and don't forget, Iowa also has an excellent wrestling team every year.
They really do. I think at one point they won like 20 out of 23 national championships.
Oh, wow. That's really good.
Yeah, Dan Gable, it was their coach. But, college wrestling has really gained a little bit of parity. Instead of just Iowa being dominant, they're more top-heavy now. There's like 1 to 4 contenders every year.
Okay. Tom Blanchard is also in the Facebook live chat and says, enjoying the show. Thank you, Tom. Glad you're with us. And if you'd like to be with us, Eric is with us on Skype. So the studio phone line is open, 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. You can also text me at 617-917-4476. I'm on social media at Matt Connarton. You can email me, matt@mattconnerton.com. And of course, you can interact and opine in the Facebook live chat. But the best thing to do so that we can hear and enjoy your dulcet tones is to give us a call at 603-250-6007. Isaac Banks in the chat room says, Matt Connarton, maybe sometime, if you get a guest sometime, is the Interrupters, a rock band. I don't know the Interrupters, but that's a cool name. Eric, you have any thoughts on what's going on in the House of Representatives right now? Have you been watching that?
It's just a microcosm of everything wrong with this country.
Well, that's a big statement, but go ahead.
Look, we have to have the House functional, and we cannot get petty differences set aside to just nominate a speaker. Petty differences is what led to the former speaker being ousted, and now petty differences are keeping one from getting the nomination.
Well, I feel that we're in a terrible position here because either we continue to not have a speaker or we have Jim Jordan. And I think both of those options put us on the road to ruin. Now, you're a conservative, so you might agree with Jim Jordan on a lot of things. You probably do. But I think he's dangerous because I think he'll absolutely take us into a government shutdown. He's never voted for a continuing resolution. And I think, if he's speaker when the opportunity arises, I think he'd be perfectly happy to take us over the fiscal cliff and into default. So I think he's a pretty dangerous guy to have in that position. What are your feelings on him?
I mean, he is really, really far right. I mean, I do agree with him on some things, but I kind of get this Ron DeSantis vibe from him. That if you put him in a position of power, he thinks every House should be Warden June Cleaver, which, no, it doesn't work like that.
Oh, by the way, Mark shared the link to that film in the Facebook live chat. Thanks, Mark. I'll check that out. Yeah. Now there is another possibility that is interesting. Oh, hello to Adam Slim, who joins us in the Facebook live chat. Hello. It's a new name in there. The possibility of Patrick McHenry, who I, until very recently, knew nothing about, but he is, of course, the Speaker pro temp. They could give him some additional power so that the House can function and still carry on some business. But I don't know why. Why not just, if they're going to do that, why not just try to make him the Speaker permanently? And like I said, I didn't know much about him until recently. I still don't know a lot about him, although I was surprised to learn today that he's only 47 years old because his hair is completely white. I guess he's got the Steve Martin thing going, where his hair is white, but he's still a young man. But it's interesting because the Democrats are willing to work with him. You know, Jim Jordan is obviously not someone that, you know, they're going to keep voting for Hakeem Jeffries, but they might be willing to make a compromise to at least give Patrick McHenry some additional power to get things moving again. Because right now, I mean, our government is essentially paralyzed as this drags on, and I don't think a lot of people realize how bad it is for the country. And I would just add, and I'm curious to get your thoughts on this. I do also blame, not primarily because it's, you know, I heard them referred to as the Crazy Eight, you know, Matt Gaetz and the Crazy Eight. But you know, they're the ones who created this problem because they chose to oust McCarthy. But I do also blame the Democrats secondarily because they could have saved Kevin McCarthy, and then we wouldn't be going through all of this. And it's, you know, kind of the devil you know type of thing. And I'd rather have McCarthy than Jordan. I'd rather have Steve Scalise than Jordan, but I'd rather have McCarthy than either of them. But Patrick McHenry seems like an interesting possibility. And he wears a bow tie. You got to love that. Who's worn a bow tie in Congress since Senator Paul Simon? Not Paul Simon of Simon and Garfunkel, of course, but Paul Simon, the senator, the late senator from the state of Illinois, who my dad actually took me to see speak live once when I was a kid. My dad, believe it or not, was a Democrat when I was growing up and was a big fan of Senator Paul Simon. But well, I don't know. Any predictions, Eric, on where this goes?
I thought last time we talked about this, I think it was 2 weeks ago, Jim Jordan was a shoo-in. He had Trump backing him. I thought it was pretty much a done deal, and I was pretty much resigned to the fact that it was going to be Jim Jordan. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, you know, at least there's a person there now.
Right.
And hopefully they guide us through these choppy waters, you know, but now it's like, okay, Republicans, our Republican representatives say they're so much better than the Democrats and say how they put the country first and Democrats don't. Well, they're just showing their blind hypocrisy here that no, they don't put our country first. Because if they would have put our country first, this process would be done and over with. There would be a Speaker of the House, they would be in position, and stuff would be getting done.
Yeah, they're not voting. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
This more high ground and this holier-than-thou throne that they love to sit on is gone and over with. This whole debacle has made the Republican Party look like a bunch of bickering schoolgirls.
Well, we've never seen anything quite like it. We've never seen a speaker ousted before, which reminds me, that's part of why John Boehner got out when he did. And did you, I don't know if you were paying any attention to the vote today, Eric, but somebody, I forget who it was now, somebody actually put, when they were doing the roll call, somebody actually voted for Boehner. Did you know that?
I did not. That person should have their vote rescinded.
See, I think it's funny because obviously they were doing it because they were doing it out of protest of Jim Jordan. I have been a little bit pleasantly surprised seeing some of these moderate Republicans sort of standing up to, because I thought, you and I talked about it before, and I think we both agreed that it probably was going to be Jim Jordan because that's who Trump very publicly endorsed. And, once the God Emperor anoints someone, that's what they're going to do. But apparently not. And some of these moderate Republicans seem pretty, some of them who won in districts that Biden carried in 2020, some of them seem pretty worried about what's going to happen if they support Jim Jordan. And I'm a little bit pleasantly surprised, actually, to see the pushback on Jim Jordan. I thought he probably would be the next speaker, but it doesn't look like he's going to be.
Right. And I mean, I don't even know who's next.
No, that's the thing. There doesn't seem to be anybody next. And I think I've been wrong a lot with my predictions on this whole thing. It's been very difficult to predict, but I think it is quite possible that they're going to give, again, work it because Hakeem Jeffries has already said he's open to this. I think they will work with the Democrats as much as they don't want to look like they're doing it to just make a bit of a compromise, expand Patrick McHenry's powers as Speaker pro temp, and then at some point in the near future, if that seems to be working, they might actually just try to make him Speaker. Because again, I don't know why they don't just do that anyway. I mean, he's running things, to the extent that he has any power, which is very limited already. They're already talking about expanding his power, so why not just make him the next Speaker? So, but I don't know much about the guy beyond that. I don't think I'd ever even really heard of him until recently.
Right. There are so many variables at play with this that I'm with you, Matt. I don't see how this ends.
Yeah. Well, Erich, we are it's 5:15. Do you want to we can wrap up, but did you want to plug the film review for Friday?
Yes, this week is Sam Raimi's Army of Darkness.
Ah, yes.
So, yeah, I'm sorry, Scott. I was responding to a message. My apologies.
Oh, Scott, yeah. What is the double toothpicks in the background? Yes. Sam Raimi's Army of Darkness.
Yes. And I actually, because of being sick, I was behind this week. I watched it this morning, and just such an amazing film. Like, so many different elements of movies are included in this. Comedy, horror, fantasy, science fiction. What makes it great is you can't just put it into one genre.
Right. So that was the first one in the series, right? Because that went on to spawn a whole series of films, right?
It's the third one. It's
the third one.
It goes Evil Dead.
Oh, that's
Evil
right.
Dead 2. Army of Darkness, the Diablo Cody Evil Dead remake, and Evil Dead Rise. And then there's the series Ash versus Evil Dead.
Okay. See, I never got into those movies, so I can't keep them straight. But what's the name of the actor with the big chin?
Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell, yeah. Is that what he's most known for, is those films?
Yes, and he's also written some books. He's written Confessions of a B-Movie Actor, which is an autobiography.
Mm-hmm.
He's written a fiction book, How to Make Love the Bruce Campbell Way, and he's written Hail to the Chin, which is like Hollywood anecdotes about his life in Hollywood.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought I'd seen that he had written something. Didn't he also write something called If This Chin Could Talk? Or am I maybe that was an article that I'd read about him.
That's the main title of his first book. You're right, Matt. If Chins Could Kill, Confessions of a B-movie Actor.
Oh, okay. If Chins Could Kill. Gotcha. Okay. Cool. Well, yeah, so that'll be great.
It's just such an awesome movie. And the special effects are dated, especially when I was watching it in 4K. But I can only imagine when this movie came out in 1991, every member of the Dead-Eyed Army is claymation.
Oh, really?
It is so awesome. And just the one-liners Bruce Campbell has.
By the way, Isaac Banks, he's been really persistent with this suggestion. He says in the chat room, also, hashtag Erich Pilcher, if you do the next movie review of 1988's Jack's Back, starring James Spader and Cynthia Gibb.
I have actually heard of Jack's Back. The thing is, and you know this, Matt, because I send you the list.
Yes.
The film reviews are planned a month, if not 2 months in advance.
Yes.
And next week's is already planned, and I've actually started research on it. John Carpenter's Halloween.
Yes. So Jack's Back, maybe someday in the future, but it's not on the upcoming itinerary.
Because like I said, I have to have an idea of where I'm going, and there are some times where I do have to make a quick change, like with True Romance, and I forget the other one, Sweet Sweetback's Badass Song, that I had to be like, we can't do it.
Yeah. I remember that. Yes.
I remember late night messaging you on Facebook like, Matt, this ain't gonna work.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
The subject matter of this film ain't gonna fly.
Yeah, that would have been tricky.
Very. Yeah, but no, I do, I love getting recommendations, and I will always take them under consideration, since I know now that I can just record clips and don't have to rely on finding them online.
Right. Well, very good. So we look forward to that. And Erich, we'll let you go, and as you continue to be on the mend from RSV, but obviously you're feeling better.
Oh yeah. Like I said to you today, like I'll have 1 or 2 sporadic coughing fits throughout the day and a runny nose. That's about it. Today is the first day I've actually felt like getting up and doing stuff.
Oh, okay.
So that's a win in my book.
Yeah, no doubt. All right, Erich. Well, by the way, Isaac is also recommending the 1980s movie Transylvania 6-5000.
I will definitely look into it and see.
Okay. That's all we can ask. All right, Erich.
Yes.
Well, we'll let you go for now, and thank you so much. Always enjoy getting to hang out with you on Wednesdays, and I look forward to the review on Friday.
I look forward to presenting it, and I always look forward to Wednesdays as well, Matt.
All right, very good. All right, Erich, thank you so much. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. All right, that was Erich Pilcher, of course, from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And we will conclude that segment with a song. I think I'm going to play some Eons Encoded, actually, because I saw a reference to Eons in the Facebook live chat. Oh, yes, Eon Venom 4. But I do love this song, Reconnection. This is one of my favorites that I kind of have in heavy rotation on the show. I think I play this once a week, but such a great track. So we're going to do that, and then we're going to show some love to our amazing sponsors, and then we'll be back with the balance of our program today. So there is more Matt Connarton Unleashed coming up. Don't go anywhere. come on down to the Hop Knot at 1000 Elm Street, Manchester's premier craft beer and gourmet pretzel bar. Tell us more, Trudy.
We make our dough fresh every day. We make a variety of styles of pretzels and serve craft beer, cocktails, and a few bottles of wine. We do the traditional pretzel, and we have multiple flavors for that. We also do stuffed pretzels, pretzel sandwiches, free dessert pretzels, and pretzel knots.
The Hop Knot in the Brady Sullivan Plaza at 1000 Elm Street.
Bring your kitchen to life with Queen City Cabinetry, located at 87 Elm Street in the historic Sunbeam Mall in Manchester. Open Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. They can be reached at 603-222-2007 or on the web at queencitycabinetrynh.com. Come see the possibilities. Queen City Cabinetry, another proud sponsor of WMNH.
Clemento's Pizzeria, family friendly, awesome for a date night. Clemento's Pizzeria. For delivery, call 603-782-8450. Clemento's Pizzeria, the best pizza in town. 1875 South Willow Street in Manchester, New Hampshire. Best cocktails around. Come in as friends and leave as family.
This hour on WMNH is sponsored by CGI Business Solutions, located at 5 Dartmouth Drive in Auburn. They serve all your business needs, including employee benefits planning, corporate design and business administration, investments and wealth management, and customized business insurance solutions. Their phone number is 866-841-4600 or on the web at cgibusinesssolutions.com.
WMNH, rip the knob off.
You're listening to WMNH 95.3. The commander to the supreme leader, Matzo Captain.
Welcome back, everybody, as we cruise into our final segment today of Matt Connarton Unleashed. And we are live from the studios of WMNH 95.3 FM in glorious downtown Manchester, New Hampshire. Also on Comcast Channel 6 in Manchester. And hello to all of our online listeners across the nation and around the globe. You can go to my website, mattconnerton.com, for all of your live streaming options, social media links, contact info, show archives, etc., etc. Today is Wednesday, October 18, 2023. So nice to have you all with me. If you would like to get in with a call, the studio line is open, 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. You can also text me at 617-917-4476. I'm on social media at Matt Connarton. You can email me, matt@mattconnerton.com. And of course, you can interact and opine in the Facebook live chat. But the best thing to do so that we can hear and enjoy your dulcet tones is to give us a call at 603-250-6007. Thank you again, of course, to Erich Pilcher for joining us. And don't forget Erich's film review this Friday. We should also mention, too, our amazing sponsor, the Hop Knot in the Brady Sullivan at 1000 Elm Street. And it is Wednesday, and tonight is open mic night. This is what they posted on social media. The downfall of society continues tonight with Bands on the Rocks open mic. Features tonight include Matt Richards and Derek Zyba, if I'm saying that correctly. Sign-ups are at 7:30, and then the show starts at 8 p.m. So our usual open mic shenanigans tonight at the Hop Knot. Also, they've got an event coming up on for Halloween. Let's see. This is on October 28th. It is a Saturday. The Hop Knot Halloween Get Down. There's going to be a karaoke contest, a costume contest, and, of course, pretzels and craft beer. It says here we're celebrating our Halloween with our annual Halloween party on Saturday, October 28th from 7 p.m. to midnight. We'll have a costume contest as well as a karaoke contest with prizes for both. Karaoke starts at 7 p.m. with DJ Joe, with the karaoke contest starting at 9 p.m. Winners for both contests will be announced at 11:30. So that is coming up on October 29th. So good stuff going on there. Let's see. Isaac Banks in the Facebook live chat says, Matt Connarton, I was giving a shout out to my friend Will Florence from Greensboro, North Carolina, and now he lives in Raleigh, North Carolina. Tell him to chat message me on Facebook. Yes, Will Florence, if you're listening, please chat message Isaac Banks. Riley King joins us in the Facebook live chat, fellow broadcaster. Hello, Riley. Nice to see you in there. Well, we've got a little bit of time left. I think that this is, we talked about it a little bit with Erich, but of course, there's really two stories running concurrently right now that are dominating the news. One is the war, Israel versus Hamas, and the other, of course, the House Speaker's race. I'd say the war is the more depressing of the two subjects, but a couple things on the House Speaker's race that have come up today. If you don't know, if you haven't been following or you haven't had a chance to catch up today, they did do another vote today. Jim Jordan actually lost a couple of votes. So something interesting, though, people are saying, some people in the media have made the observation that, well, he's actually losing votes, not gaining votes. He probably has no chance of being speaker. But remember, it did take 15 tries, 15 bites at the apple, if you will. So it'd have to be a pretty big apple for Kevin McCarthy to clinch the speakership. Having said that, Kevin McCarthy, as divisive as he was in some ways, not nearly as much, I would say, as Jim Jordan for different reasons. But this is only his second vote, so he might yet be able to convince some of these moderates, although I'm skeptical. And as I said to Erich earlier, but if you're just joining us, I have a prediction, kind of a half-hearted prediction, because I have found this very difficult, this particular storyline, if you will, in politics, so difficult to really predict that I'm used to being wrong about these things. But I think that it is possible that Patrick McHenry, who is currently the Speaker pro temp, which, he shows up and he, hits the gavel and calls votes to order and so forth. But the only thing they're really able to vote on right now, of course, is the speakership. I think it's entirely possible that there is a deal made, Republicans working with Democrats, to give McHenry some additional powers so that he can so that the House can function on some level, and then eventually perhaps making him speaker. Something interesting that I learned today about that possibility. So because of the deal that McCarthy made when he was trying to become speaker, because of the deal that he made with, as I heard referred to today, Matt Gaetz and the Crazy Eights, those House Freedom Caucus members who really wanted this. It only takes one House member to call for a vote to vacate, and then if he can get enough people to go along with him, and by him I mean Matt Gaetz, then the speakership is vacated, and that's what they did to McCarthy. Apparently, there is nothing in place. Now, the parliamentarian would have to rule on this, but apparently there doesn't seem to be anything in place to vacate the Speaker pro temp position. In other words, if they make a deal to give Patrick McHenry of, where's he from? North Carolina, I think. If they make a deal to give him additional powers, they could vote on that, giving him additional power so that he wouldn't be the speaker. He'd still be the Speaker pro temp, but he would have the ability to actually run the House and have votes on things like continuing aid for Ukraine, additional aid for Israel, things like that. Things that will have bipartisan support. And I don't know what happens if he's still there in that position, fulfilling that function when it's time to, when we're on the eve of another government shutdown. I'm not sure what happens then. I don't know much about him. I don't know if he's more of a moderate guy. That's my impression, but I don't know. I know very little about Patrick McHenry, and I have a feeling I'm going to have to be learning a lot about him. We all are in the coming days. But if they can give him those additional powers, but there's nothing that says, there's nothing in the House rules that says you can actually vacate not the speakership, but the speaker pro temp. You can't vacate that. If that's correct, that there's no mechanism to do that, then they could, in theory, expand his power and then just leave him indefinitely, or for the rest of this term, as the speaker pro temp. So if he has all the powers that a speaker does and can fulfill all of those functions, but without the fear, without that sword of Damocles hanging over his head that McCarthy had all the time, so did John Boehner. That's why he left. So did Paul Ryan, sort of, little more complicated with Paul Ryan. But in theory, that's why he left. I think he wanted to get out before Trump came in to the presidency. I think that's what really chased Paul Ryan out. That's my theory. But so they could give McHenry these powers. So effectively make him a speaker, just not in name. He'd continue to be the speaker pro temp, but fulfill those duties without fear of somebody calling a vote to vacate him. If they're upset with him, somebody like Matt Gaetz gets upset because there's no mechanism to do that. There's nothing in the House rules that says you can vacate the speaker pro temp. In theory, we'll see. We're in uncharted waters here. We're in uncharted territory because prior to the ouster of Kevin McCarthy, that had never happened before in the history of the country. Again, came close with Boehner and Paul Ryan, especially Boehner. Dennis Hastert, he was probably would have happened to him. He was forced to resign. He's in prison now. I believe he's still in prison. But so maybe they can work out a deal here. We'll see on that. But I saw this pop up, and I thought this was particularly interesting. This is on Mediaite, and I heard something about this earlier in the day. I was like, what? GOP moderate boasts that Jim Jordan is running into brick wall in speaker's race after, quote, harassing our spouses. It says here, Representative Don Bacon, Republican of Nebraska. I think he's the one that Brian Kilmeade, that's how I say his name, Brian Kilmeade called a dumbass. We might get to that too if we have time. Representative Don Bacon boasted that Representative Jim Jordan is running into a brick wall in his quest for the speaker's gavel ahead of a second vote on Jordan's candidacy this afternoon. Explained Bacon, quote, Jordan is headed for defeat. He'll fight to death, likely, and we won't let off. Their tactics angered us. They're harassing our spouses even, unquote. Now, Kyle Griffin tweeted this out earlier. Representative Bacon to @NBC News. Oh, same thing. Same thing that I just read. Okay. Bacon's wife, this is where it gets interesting. Bacon's wife, Angie Bacon, that's a fun name, isn't it? Bacon's a fun last name. And when Mark was on earlier with us and we were talking about pigs for trophies and bacon, it says, wouldn't you love to have a last name like, I'm thinking about changing my last name to Bacon. By the way, and the other day on the show, actually, I think it was yesterday. Yeah, it was yesterday. When Best Not Broken was here, they were talking about opening when they opened for the Bacon Brothers, or they've got a show coming up opening for the Bacon Brothers. I'm telling you, bacon, it dominates our lives. It consumes us. Not literally, we consume it. You know what I mean? This is bacon everywhere. Anyway, Bacon's wife, Angie Bacon, has received anonymous text messages asking her why her husband was not supporting Jordan and promising that his opposition would sink his political career. An anonymous supporter of Jordan's texted this to Angie Bacon. Your husband will not hold any political office ever again. What a disappointment and failure he is, unquote. Oh, wait, I think there's more. There's more of the texts. I just clicked something. I'm 20 Republicans voted against Jordan during a vote yesterday, and he lost a few more members of his party during today's vote. Former Speaker Kevin McCarthy was ejected from his office when just 8 Republicans, with the entirety of the Democratic caucus, voted to strip him of his title. Skipping down here, but addressing the situation on CNN on Monday, Bacon said, quote, not Angie Bacon, but Representative Bacon, quote, I can't abide by the fact a small group violated the rules to get what they wanted, so now I'm supposed to play by the rules. So I think we gotta have consequences, and we have to stand up to this. That's what Americans do, unquote. I'm trying to load the, X. I'm trying to get used to calling it X and not Twitter. Trying not to live in the past. X is loading very slowly on my computer. But I'm trying to load. I want to see what else was tweeted to Angie Bacon. You know, I say all the time, leave Angie Bacon alone. What did she ever do? I mean, what is her crime that you have to harass her? Because she married a guy with a fun last name like Bacon? All right, so someone anonymously tweeted to Angie Bacon, why is your husband causing chaos and not supporting Jim Jordan? I thought he was a team player. Angie responded, who is this? Oh, now you have nothing to say? I guess those were 2 separate text messages. And Angie got a response. Your husband will not hold any political office ever again. What a disappointment and failure he is. And Angie responded, he has more courage than you. You won't put your name to your statements. Aha! Score 1 for Angie Bacon. Yes, at this point, I'm just looking for excuses to say Bacon. But I thought that was interesting. You shouldn't harass someone's spouse. We have a call. Looks like our friend Ron is on the line. Hi, Ron.
Yeah, hello there. I actually dialed the wrong number. Can you imagine that? Good to hear from you anyway, sir.
How ironic. See what I did there? All right, Ron. Well, I'm sorry you misdialed, but always nice to hear from you.
Yes, thank you, sir. Have a nice night.
All right, you too. Bye-bye. All right. Well, apparently we were on Ron's mind because he dialed us. If you'd like to dial us, 603-250-6007, 603-250-6007. Just be aware that in doing so, you'll be calling the studio line here at WMNH 95.3 FM. Also, Mediaite reports Fox News hosts are getting upset. They've lost Fox News. It says here, Fox hosts on Outnumbered fumed over the GOP's inability to reunite around a candidate for House Speaker as Jim Jordan failed to gain enough votes on the second ballot. The House has been leaderless for the last few weeks after Kevin McCarthy was ousted. Okay, we know all that. Let's see. So, former press secretary Kayleigh McEnany, I always liked saying her name, McEnany, asked analyst David Webb about his thoughts on Patrick McHenry as temporary House Speaker, which we were discussing a few minutes ago. And Webb said this, quote, McHenry is pro tem. If you change this and you start to try to adjust in the Speaker's office, you affect the Speaker's office, you affect the parliamentary procedures in the Congress. You create a mess and you give the Democrats a weapon to use this. There's a point at which, whether it's messy, you don't like it, you're for or against it, this is getting idiotic. We need some stability at this time. And it's not all related to Israel or Ukraine funding. There are investigations underway. There's the next looming battle over the debt ceiling. There is so much more that's going on that needs to be addressed by Congress. Jordan's your best chance, whether you're for or against, because no other path exists at this time, unquote. Fox contributor Dagan McDowell, I don't think I've ever heard the name Dagan before. That's a cool name. Then flamed moderate Republicans for their, quote, backwards ass decision to support McCarthy, but not Jordan for Speaker. She noted, quote, Don Bacon voted for McCarthy yesterday and today. Jordan was Kevin McCarthy's right hand. He was his lieutenant. If you like McCarthy, you like Jordan. That's the upside down, backwards ass world that these Republicans are living in, unquote. Well, that's not true. If you like McCarthy, you like Jordan. Again, Jim Jordan is, Kevin McCarthy, I mean, a conservative, certainly. But here's the thing. Kevin McCarthy made it clear. Government shutdowns are bad, and allowing the country to default on our debt is bad. So we're not going to allow those things to happen. And he made sure those things didn't happen. And I mean, not just him. Obviously, there's other people involved in that, but he made sure those things didn't happen. Jim Jordan has never voted for a continuing resolution on the budget and generally opposes spending money on anything, as far as I can tell. Jim Jordan will try to take us into a government shutdown. And I truly believe if Jim Jordan is House Speaker, we could very well default on our debt for the first time in our nation's history. So I never had a ton of confidence in Kevin McCarthy, but he won a little bit of grudging respect from me when he came through when it really, really mattered, right? I don't have any faith at all that Jim Jordan will do the right thing in these instances, or support Ukraine funding or anything. I have no faith at all in Jim Jordan. So for anyone to say, well, what's the difference? If you supported Kevin McCarthy, you should support Jim Jordan. No, no. Very different, actually. And that's why, too, I'm upset. Like I said, I'm also upset with the Democrats because, again, I always say, I understand why they weren't going to help McCarthy, but I wish they had. I wish they'd saved him, because now we're in this mess. And this is really bad for the country. I wish they had kind of taken a step back. I mean, look, it might all work out. It might all work out for the Democrats if there is some sort of calling it a coalition government might be going too far, but if there's some sort of a power sharing arrangement that involves giving more power to Patrick McHenry and then he can kind of run things, but the Democrats help him get there in terms of being in a position to kind of run things while he's not technically the speaker, then the Democrats can call that a victory, I suppose. But what if that doesn't work out? What if Jim Jordan finds the votes and ends up being speaker? Then the Democrats will have helped oust McCarthy and Jim Jordan ends up being speaker. Then we've really, for the reasons I laid out, just a couple of examples, then we've really got a problem. This whole thing is very, very bad for the country. So I would have preferred the Democrats kind of taken the long view of things and sucked it up and saved McCarthy. Again, I understand. McCarthy didn't want the Democrats' help. He sure didn't seem like he did. It was like, what was the analogy I used on the show yesterday? If you see someone drowning, but instead of saying, yelling out, please save me, they're yelling out that they hate you and they're flipping you off as they're going under, you might hesitate for a half second, but you should still go and save them. Just because they hate you and don't particularly want your help, you should still go and save them. And that's how I feel in this case. Yes, McCarthy was, going on the Sunday morning talk shows and talking about how evil the Democrats are just as he was about to be ousted. So, whereas he could have said something maybe mildly conciliatory and just said, I think that maybe we should work together to keep me in place so we can keep the trains running on time and so forth. But he didn't do that. He chose to go on the Sunday morning talk shows and talk about how, well, we almost went into a government shutdown and it's all the Democrats' fault. And that was not the right play, unless there was a part of him that just said, screw it. If I'm going down, fine. I've kind of had it with all of this, which I have to wonder, did that play into his decision, for example, to decide not to? Because he could be running right now. He could have put his name in for this. And some people, a couple are still voting for him. They're yelling out McCarthy when it's their turn to vote. But this is really terrible. I mean, it's fascinating, but it's really terrible. We're about out of time. The only other thing, we'll probably get into this more in the first hour tomorrow because we've been so focused on the speaker's race. We haven't really talked as much in the last couple of days about Israel and Hamas. And of course, Biden went over to to meet with Netanyahu. I just a quick observation though that I want to make, and I'll probably expand on this tomorrow unless something else happens or, there's something else that we need to get into. But just a quick observation. I'm noticing something here in terms of a lot of the dialogue around this. There's in terms of Israel and Hamas, talking specifically about Hamas and the Palestinians. On both ends of the spectrum, there's a certain way that people are thinking about this that I disagree with, but people are taking this thing and interpreting it for their own point of view, which is what people tend to do. And I don't even mean an ideological spectrum like liberal, conservative, and all that. Just kind of put that aside for a second. I'm just talking about in a vacuum the spectrum in which people are thinking about Israel and Hamas and the Palestinians. You've got people on one end of the spectrum who are so pro-Israel. And by the way, I'm pro-Israel. I support Israel. I support their right to exist. I support their right to be free from terrorism and their right to defend themselves. Absolutely, unequivocally. So just to be clear about that, because as I've learned the hard way, I can be misunderstood about that. I don't want to be misunderstood about that. Okay, so I support Israel. But there are people on one end of the spectrum who are so fervid in their support of Israel that they don't care at all about the Palestinians who are caught in the middle, and they just want, there are people online. Again, it's a small group. Most people generally are sort of in a place where they have some reasonable opinions, but there are people on one end of the spectrum who just want the IDF to go in there and just mow everybody down, and they don't differentiate between the Palestinians and Hamas, the terrorist organization. On one end of the spectrum, you have that, and then all the way on the other end of the spectrum, you have some people who are so pro-Palestinian that they refuse to condemn Hamas as a terrorist organization, which it very clearly is. But they won't even condemn Hamas because they're so upset. Now, again, I support Israel, but I do have many criticisms of Israel on a policy standpoint in terms of how the Palestinians have been treated. But none of that excuses terrorism, ever. None of that excuses or justifies terrorism. But what's the commonality between these two extremes on either ends of the spectrum? They both have an inability to, or perhaps I should say more of a stubborn refusal to separate Hamas from the Palestinians. Hamas is a terrorist organization operating out of the Gaza Strip, but most Palestinians, I think, hate Hamas. You have to be able to separate the two. So I would say to the people on one end of the spectrum, let's remember the Palestinians are also victims in this. They're caught in the middle. So we have to separate Hamas from the Palestinians. And I would say to people on the other end of the spectrum, hey, Hamas is a terrorist organization. So, and they're not there to help the Palestinians. That's what they might pretend, but they're clearly not, because all they've done is made things far, far worse for the Palestinians with that terrorist attack on Israel. So they're no friend to the Palestinians. But again, the through line, the commonality is you need to be able to separate the two in your mind. You need to be able to separate the Palestinians from Hamas. And we've got a lot of people on both ends of the spectrum who just refuse to do that. And I think that's a problem. And it's really infected our dialogue on this. All right, we got to go. We are absolutely out of time. Thank you again to our friend Erich Pilcher. If you miss any part of today's show, it will be up in just a little bit. Oh, and thank you to Jenny for calling in earlier. She did share a link in the Facebook live chat, by the way, if you want to see the video from today's hearing. And we got to go. I will talk at you all a little bit later, tomorrow to be exact. Bye, everybody.